and that includes interference from Ottawa. I would certainly hope that the new Prime Minister has taken the time to read our Constitution, and I would direct him to pay specific attention to Section 92A, which gives the province, not the federal government, the exclusive jurisdiction over non-renewable natural resource development. Alberta will continue in its pursuit of doubling our oil and gas production to meet the growing global demand for energy, and we will not let Ottawa stand in our way. We will not tolerate the continuous unconstitutional overreaches made by the federal Liberal government.
In case you were wondering if Danielle Sith had grown as a person these last few months, as everything she tried to do to smooth things over with the Americans has backfired fantastically in her face, no. She has learned nothing. She's still that little girl who learned how to be vicious as soon as she hit puberty, and she's never looked back for that soul she lost along the way. In true Danielle Sith form, she's incapable of being gracious towards Canada's new Prime Minister, because his lawn signs are a different color, so they can't work together, otherwise you'd get purple! It's also worth noting that Danielle Sith is a master at cultivating the myth that conservative religious people who harass women and gays at every turn are in fact themselves the most marginalized people group. Many of them can only afford 2 quads and 2 snowmobiles. The kids deserve their own. Nobody should have to be sharing. If the kids have to share, they might start sharing other things, and that'll lead to communism. But Albertans need not worry. Danielle made sure to lay her cards out on the table. She's here for one group of people first. Always and forever. Near or far. Close or together. Everywhere she will be with them. Everything she will do for them. And who is that people? The oil and gas industry, obviously. If you didn't anticipate that, you have not been paying attention. Danielle did her best to do an impression of someone who has ever read the Constitution, so she could remind our new Prime Minister that the provincial government is responsible for governing natural resource extraction. Which is true. If you're a toddler, you might also forget that the federal government is responsible for regulating emissions and ensuring that we all have clean air. Oh, isn't that fun? Now, I suspect Marcus Canaveras is probably too much of a classy bitch to publicly feud with a premier, but I'm not. So I'd like to remind Dan Mall that the provincial government is responsible for providing health care to Albertans. Notice how I said providing, not sabotaging. And, not funneling funds into Catholic hospitals where women are denied medically necessary health care. Notice how there's no legal requirement that Danielle steal money from the public system and pour it down the greedy little throats of private clinic owners. Also, fun fact, Danny, you know that housing crisis that everyone is complaining about? Yeah, that's on you and your bubblegum duct tape future faking government. It's your job to build all the houses that your buddy Pierre keeps saying should be built. I know the oil and gas industry doesn't actually care about Albertans being able to afford housing, but you know who might care about that? Albertans. See, I'm sure your voters probably would love their kids to eventually be able to afford to move out before they're millionaires. It's also your responsibility to provide good schools to students in your province. Just a reminder, good schools teach kids. They don't terrorize them for being queer. If your schools are terrorizing children, that's a sign that you suck at your job. So maybe, just maybe, you should stop being insufferable just to rile your base up. Believe it or not, they might still like you if you had an ounce of substance.